Yeah, I'll tell you when it's live. It's just loading now. Yeah, there we are. We can see it. We can see what you can see.
Awesome. So you can see intro, in person, etc.
Yeah, we can see that now. So you're good to go, I think.
Brilliant. I'm gonna get straight on with it. Okay, so yeah, thank you everyone for having me on, and just a very quick introduction. I'm Atul. I'm an online maths and science tutor. Honestly, I feel a bit like a wild card in this mix. I do private tutoring one-on-one, so I'm just here to share some ideas that you could use in blended learning in your classroom. Just to sort of look at my history, I started teaching in person, tutoring in person, 2006. At about 2012, the year of the London Olympics, I started toying with this online teaching, tutoring idea, initially just for convenience sake. And then I had this 4-year period between 2012 and 2016, where I was teaching some students in person, some online, sometimes the same one. And for me, this is kind of like the mixed, or you could call it the blended part. And by 2016, I figured out a lot of things, and I felt I could do a much better job online, believe it or not. And ever since, I've been raving on to people about how good online is. So you'll always hear me talking in a very positive way about online teaching. What made a huge difference for me in teaching maths and teaching maths online was because I went online, I was starting to connect with online communities. So until about 2015, I didn't know a single tutor at all whatsoever. And after about 2015, found Twitter, I started the MathsConfs, and that really, really accelerated my CPD journey, both in teaching online and just teaching maths. And that acceleration is a common theme that I'll be talking about here. The fact that, yeah, it's like a big picture thing. So I want to do some big picture stuff and also some just very practical things. Being a tutor, it's all about responsive teaching for me, but I'd love you to get involved. Pen and paper, smartphone, Twitter app. Tag me once I explain the exercise. Emergence. So emergence is an idea in systems engineering, actually, where you take a few different things and you combine them into something of a higher order, actually. So a typical example that we're seeing in technology right now, things like Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Airbnb, etc. Hotels have been around for a while, restaurants have been around for a while, but now what we have is a combination of smartphones and 4G with fast connections that help you order things in real time and track. And that's really changing things. And really what we're experiencing right now in the world of online teaching, remote teaching, blended learning is this emergence. So actually we're creating this kind of new emergent form of teaching, which requires a fair degree of knowledge about all of these different aspects, and tech will go wrong, as we see, but that's all part and parcel of it. But there are just many moving parts. So just just to pick on one of these, film and video. I've always known about microphones and camera angles and lighting, etc. So it's not a surprise that I'm using a mic like this, because audio quality is probably the most important thing when you're presenting, because you want people on the other side to hear you very, very clearly as possible. So mic placement and the mic itself. So in my 4 years of teaching, I did do handwritten tutoring with visualizer style. But eventually I moved on to this graphics tablet. I would highly, highly recommend having one, actually. If you've ever been to any of Douglas Butler's workshops, you'll have seen he walks around, in the last 3-4 years I've been to them, and he walks around with a graphics tablet and he's annotating on the screen. So you can use it in the classroom, and you can definitely use it for remote learning. You can use it for content creation and lots of other stuff. So this is what I'll be using and showing you as well. So the platform I'm using is called Bitpaper. It's the thing you see here. I work for their social media, so this is by no means a plug out to Bitpaper. That's the only thing that you have to use. There's lots of whiteboard software. We saw Desmos this morning as well. So I'm just giving you some things that you can take away here, general principles. So obviously you can use the pen tool, different colors. One great thing about this is you can take this and straighten it up. So you can turn it into a line, or you can just draw lines, which we often need to. I'd also say that the reason I use a graphics tablet, one of the reasons is you can write really, really fast with it, actually. So you can write, I think, at least for me, after a while of practice, maybe 2 to 3 times faster than I can on paper. And the great thing is you can undo mistakes just by clicking Control Z, or Z in this case, or redo. You can create animations. You can pick certain bits of text, move them around. If you run out of space, you can make them smaller and bigger, etc., etc. That wasn't a properly selected thing, like so. So you got this really sophisticated 2-dimensional canvas, which is far more versatile than using pen and paper. And once you've gone through that learning curve of using this, it becomes really, really fast and effective to use. So for me, I would find it quite frustrating to write on pen and paper and teaching, or using a visualizer to teach and write stuff and not be able to undo my mistakes very quickly. So I'm just going to clear all that. Us being maths teachers, we love our grids. So this has got a grid tool. I can customize this grid in any way I want. I'm going to go for 50 by 50. There's a few shapes you can use as well. Yeah, okay. I can make shapes. Shape tool. The palette's hidden there. I'm gonna hide that. Yeah. Okay, if I'm working on any circle theorem stuff, right angle triangles, rectangles, some 3D shapes. They're very easy to draw, and then annotate on. You can also make filled shapes. I'm just going to make a triangle here. And the great thing about these kind of softwares is they are vector graphics. So what a vector graphic is actually what vectors do, or transformations do. You can enlarge it without losing clarity. You can rotate it. So if you are actually showing transformations, you can use this much more effectively. You can flip it around. Okay. And of course, you can translate it as well. This was going to be Notes and Crosses with Gemma. I don't think she is online.
Atul, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can I just butt in with a few questions people have had, just real quick?
Yeah.
One of them was about what graphic tablet you'd recommend from Jonathan, and also your microphone as well. We've had a few questions basically about the tech you're using today, in terms of how to get hold of it. I'm sure you're going to cover that at the end anyway, but yeah. Bitpaper as well. Is it subscription? Free?
Yeah, so it's got you get 100 pages so for free per month. Yeah, so it's a freemium thing. So most of the core features are free. My mic, yeah, happy to put that. It's a Rode NT USB. My graphics tablets are any of the Wacoms will do, but yeah, Wacom. Yeah. Douglas Butler also has been recommending these for years. So I think Gemma is online on the other side, because that's not me writing. That's actually Gemma, a few hundred miles away from me. Okay, so we're going to play Notes and Crosses. I'm going to be Notes. I'll go first. Over to you, Gemma.
No.
Too late. Okay. So that's cool. So that's an online interactive, collaborative, real-time whiteboard. And this is one warm-up I do with my tutees, just to get used to the idea that there is someone on the other side. For me, it can often be someone in New Zealand, halfway across the world, many, many thousands of miles, and you get this kind of real interaction with them. Bitpaper is not a manipulatives tool, but I use it for it. I use the filled shapes to make these counters. This could be an exercise on factors, primes, square numbers. I've made a 1, 2, 3. And Gemma can be my manipulative mover. So again, Gemma, if you'd like to see what you can do for, you need to be on the select tool, which is that big fat arrow there. Yeah, I'll remove that for you. They're cleaned up for you. Okay, fantastic. So Gemma's shown that with 4 you can make an array, and then we can talk about things like factors, primes, grouping. 4 happens to be a square number, so it look like that. And then I continue that. So it's a very typical exercise I do with my tutees, and they're on the other side of the screen. This is another thing you can do with Bitpaper. So what I've got here is an equation of a straight line. We're looking at gradients. I use unit vectors. So this is all 1 on 1. So 1 unit vector this way, left to right, 1 up and the other 1 up. Sometimes I'll make a whole bunch of these, get my pupils to move them so they can physically move these, and then see, actually for one side you get 2 up between these 2 points. And let's investigate parallel lines. So I've just literally selected everything and made a copy. So this is a parallel line. Well, how can we confirm the parallelness using gradients? Again, 1 left to right, 2 up. Okay. I'm going to assume that's back because I can, yeah, all right, brilliant.
We can hear you, Atul.
You can hear me, okay, brilliant. Okay, it's all part and parcel of teaching online. All sorts of things happen out at sea. Okay, so this is an exercise I do with my pupils. And I'd love you to get involved. I'll just show you what it's like. This is Egyptian hieroglyph-based numerals. Ancient Egyptians used symbols and pictures. You've got a snake there that's worth 1,000. You've got a flute that's worth 200. You've got a little ribbon, and you got these sticks. So to make 1,328 in ancient Egyptian numerals, I take 1,000, snake, 300, 20, and 8 is these 2 stick-like things. So let's pick them out from there, make the number nest there. So it's over to you on Twitter. You could have a go at these 2. And if you are on the other side, Gemma,
yep,
as a tutee, you could have a go at 1,078 while I wait for it to come up on Twitter.
So 1,078. It occurred to me, Atul, that this is really good for place value when we did it the other day.
Oh yeah. So this is, I would do numbers, digits, and numerals, and then I'd go into this. If you're not if you made a mistake, just press Z to go back, and you can just do it again. So instead of Control Z, it's Z.
Have I made a mistake?
Well, you haven't, but if you want to make the character better,
yeah. I'm not sure I've made it any better.
That's fine. That's fine. I can actually make it better for you. I will just move that there. I'll line it up for you since I have the graphics tablet.
And while we're waiting for the Twitter to come in, I must admit, Atul, I've seen you use this before and present on this before, and I've not been brave enough myself. And when we did it the other night, I did realize how simple it is and how effective a tool it could be for blended learning. So I am going to be brave next week and use it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what I'm doing essentially now is using Twitter as the blended learning platform and pen and paper, because everyone's on this presentation has a smartphone and pen and paper, and they can take a picture and post it on Twitter. We use Twitter, so I've used Twitter itself as the as an example of what's possible. Okay, I am going to just see what's coming in. Okay, cool. I'm gonna just share my Twitter's view and see what's coming. Oh yes, that's Michael. Air Maths Tuition. So snipping tool is your best friend in any online learning. Just gonna take a little snip and we'll show Michael's work. Again, we'll do that as well in a second. So if I wanted to talk around Michael's work, lovely red pen. Got a few more coming in. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, I'll snip that one in as well. I love seeing people's real handwriting, something really organic about it, as much as I like digital stuff, like real handwriting. So if I wanted to talk about what Jenna's doing as well, I could talk about that. So snipping tool is your best friend. You can just snip stuff in. It doesn't matter what platform you're using. I happen to just be using Twitter for this demonstration. All right, so just looking at some big picture stuff, just to wrap it up. Moore's law, you can look this up, is to do with microprocessors, and roughly every 2 years we get a doubling in processor speed because the chips get smaller and smaller. This has been going on since the 1960s. That means computers get cheaper, you get smaller and smaller chips and things, you get smartphones, and they become more and more affordable. So I posted something recently, which is you can get a Raspberry Pi computer, which is effectively a desktop, for about £70. Stick it up into your television, and you've got a powerful desktop. So the price of these chips is reducing. Some of the older chips are probably cheaper than chips. And what's happening is we're getting this acceleration in technology itself, and it's pretty exponential, actually. So if you think about it, telegraph was around probably for a good 70, 80 years. Grandparents might remember the telephone. That took about 70, 80 years again for people to get to their homes. Mobile phones, we can probably, most of us remember those brick phones, those 2G ones, that took another, say, 10, 15 years to get to everyone. Then smartphones, pretty much less than 10 years they've been around, and now we're going from 4G. That's again maybe 5 years at best. So the technologies is accelerating, and it's become so fast that actually we can see this technological change in real time, like within our lifespans, like a 5-10 year gap. Whereas maybe in our grandparents' generation, it might have been their entire generation when they would have seen phone lines go through or some major tech thing to happen. We do need a lot of training for this, but that's what we're doing right here. If you're into all of this kind of futurism stuff, here's a couple of authors, Reka as well. You all know Harari of Sapiens. So to just wrap it up, I have been doing this for a very long time. I've been teaching all online for 4 years and online for 8 years. And one thing that I noticed from the pandemic especially is that CPD, what we're doing right now, has been accelerating. So I would previously go to a MathsConf, one of the LaSalle ones, and we'd go to maybe 3 a year. We'd go out clubbing on a Friday night and then go to the conference on the Saturday, and it'd be good for meeting people. And I met some great people there. But what's happened now is we are meeting more often. I'm meeting nearly once a month with the core group, if not more often. And that's really like put all of us on overdrive. We're learning from each other. We all bring different things to the table. So I'm bringing my enthusiasm for this kind of online medium. I've reached people's, I've basically gone global. I've taught people in 25 countries by now. And I even have some people that for whatever reason they have to go in and out of one people has to go in and out of hospital, so I can reach them while they're in hospital because they're still keen to learn, or on remote parts of the country or remote islands, etc. But it's not well, it's not just that. It's really we're breaking borders. So by borders, we have gone beyond. You can go beyond your individual classroom. You can go to other people's classroom. That potential exists. If there is not enough staff, you can you have that flexibility, because that kind of teaching within the confines of a border is gone now, and it's not gone just within your school. It's gone beyond your county, beyond your beyond the country even. So I've done some intervention work in a US school, for example, where I see the pupils coming in and out, and then one pupil goes into another room and I do some work with them. And there's companies doing this at the moment. So in conclusion, it is, yeah, I'm a huge fan of this medium of teaching, and it's been an incredibly difficult learning curve for everyone. But compared to when I first saw it in April, March, there's the presentations today look phenomenal. I've learned so much, and I think that we are accelerating on this thing. And for me, this thing was going to be around long after pandemic. The potential is unbelievable. It really is, because it literally is teaching without borders. Because I've been meeting a few of you, based in Switzerland or Australia, in Belgium, etc., and very, very excited about what the future brings. Thank you very much.
Hey Atul, I'm not sure. I think Gemma's around, but I think she'll pop back in. That was absolutely fantastic. I love that, and I love that thing with the using Twitter to grab the images. That was absolute quality. That was. I was just wondering, like, can you give one more example of how you might use that in one of your tutoring sessions in terms of grabbing the images, and then if you can go back to that just literally quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It was in my presentation earlier, but I cut it out because I had so much to share.
Okay.
But I'll do it live. That's what I do all the time. So
cool. Just so I can see that.
So Corbett Maths in Corbett We Trust.
Yeah.
So let's say I wanted to cover, literally just pick on this first thing.
Yeah.
PDF documents are great because they are vectors themselves, and you can expand them without losing crispness.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take this little exercise here, snip it in there, paste, bigger. And if Gemma is on the other side, you could match them like that. Well, I've done the first one, so you.
Okay. That's brilliant. It's just so quick, isn't it? It's just so easy to do.
Really intuitive as well, because I've been, as a tutor, I have to like sell the idea of online tutoring to parents, and most of the last 5 years, I've been battling parents, saying the first thing parents say is, "God, this is not going to work." But when you start showing them this thing, it's a mix of using the tech, adapting the pedagogy. So the tech alone is not enough. If you have to kind of learn how to use the tech along with what you're teaching, and then after a while, the parents see that actually there's a lot more possible. I think the mindset to have about online teaching or remote learning, blended learning, is you're probably just at the tip of the iceberg. Like there's so much more possible than what any preconceptions might make you think. So if you go into it with an open mind, there's really, really a lot possible actually.
How have you found the engagement with online versus face-to-face? I mean, I know obviously you do online tutoring kind of mostly anyway, but I'm just wondering, in the past, presumably you've done some face-to-face work. So I'm just thinking about the contrast between those two and how you found that.
Yeah, so I teach a whole range really. I mean, I've got 7-year-olds to A-level and adults actually, clients who became tutees, and so this is really, really suited to kind of quieter, diligent students,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like some like to talk a lot, and some are really quiet. And I have like one tutor every week who is you don't get much out of her when you're talking to her, because the stuff I do is on camera, so I can see see her and she can see me, but she rarely talks. But she's always doing the thing I want her to do on the whiteboard, so I can tell. So her way of talking is actually doing the stuff on the whiteboard. And some students do talk and articulate, and I also specialize in dyscalculia, so you often have low attainers with very low motivation, could be behavioral problems. But provided you have that conversation with them, the parent, and what you get is this increased articulation. It's one of the reasons I actually stopped teaching in person, because I was teaching the same person 1 week online and 1 week in person, on a one-on-one tutoring environment anyway. And I was just getting so much more out of them online that I started to find it frustrating teaching them in person. So I then just stopped teaching in person altogether.
That's interesting. But I found, because back in 2015, 2014, I actually did some online tutoring for history, right? One of the things I found a little bit difficult, do you ever find it awkward, just in terms of if the other person isn't, if it's one-to-one, for example, or even if it's a small group and everyone's quiet? Yes, it's difficult in a classroom environment when that happens, but when it's online, I find that even harder, because you can't have any kind of relational interaction with them to know what they're thinking or to see how they're reacting. So do you ever find it awkward socially, if you like, the online teaching, or is that something where you're comfortable? You can say, okay, we're going to have silence and we're going to sit here online in silence.
Yeah, I mean, because I do one-on-one, and I know other people do that as well. So I always have the camera on both ends, and I've run some CPD as well in the group where the camera is on, so that I can read from their expression how they are, how engaged or disengaged they are, and you can tell a lot from that actually on those non-verbal cues, and that's an important part. And I've also got used to this kind of, like, silence can be a learning, a tool in teaching itself. Like there's a thing, a silent teacher, with Mr. Barton talks about, and Craig Barton talks about in his book. So it's not it is it's daunting at first, but once you get used to it, you can use silence as a tool in itself, because they're thinking about something. And even with Twitter, there was silence for about half a minute, and then I knew that something came up, because I knew it was going to come up. In my mind, it was like nobody's going to do it at all, but actually they did.
What do you do if somebody refuses to turn their camera on? Do you just allow it and use your Bitpaper to engage with them that way, perhaps? Because some students are shy about this sort of thing, aren't they?
Yeah, so I have that. You have to have the parent on your side. So I've had that conversation with the parent right from the very beginning, and I actually just train the parent and the student to use, because I do work with manipulatives as well. Sometimes I'll actually just send them algebra tiles, or they'll get their own set of Cuisenaire rods, and actually I really do need them to like lift the tray up and show me what they're doing. So that's part of what I do as well. I do need it.
So it's about setting up that expectation, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a systematic. There's lots of systemic issues that need to be sorted out as well. But once they're handled, it can work. It can work very well. But I do, obviously, I need to see them on camera, because I can read the situation. I can see exactly how engaged or disengaged, or where they are.
Natalie is asking what do you...
Sorry, Gemma. That's what I was going to do. The question. Fire away.
Natalie's asking, what is the optimal length for an online lesson, do you think? I mean, when you're in school, you don't really get the option that's set by your school, isn't it? But as a tutor, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a really good question, actually, because once you start teaching online, I found I just get much more, the communication's more intense both ways, and I feel I get more done. It's like what some presenters have been saying today as well. I feel like I get more done, and I sometimes do 45-minute sessions, because that's enough. And in some cases, and half an hour is enough. Or if it's someone coming up for their A-level exams, we might do 2-hour sessions. So you can start experimenting with this unit of lesson time, because there is no like the people aren't coming in, packing, moving, because that stuff takes time. It takes like a few minutes, and then leaving, it takes a few minutes, but you can cut all of that out. It's like bang, you're straight on. And so you can use that time really efficiently, and you'd be surprised how that extra 5 minutes that you save, that you use in teaching, how valuable it is when you accumulate it over several lessons. So you can so that's another thing I tell parents. I just tell them, like, it's 1 hour of solid teaching time. There's really nothing else.
No wasps in the classroom, no dog in the playground.
No, I get wasps in there. When I used to teach in person, I'd be sorting the wasp out and opening a window and stuff. But now they have a wasp in their room, so I can't help you.
Yeah, the third things that never change. I was just going to ask Atul, what if you were to recommend 3 kind of pieces of software that you use? So it could be 3 kind of learning resource sites, or 3 sites where you pull digital products from to use in your sessions. What might be your kind of top 3 sites or pieces of software that you would recommend maths teachers to use?
Yeah, for like generic things, I would say Snipping Tool or Lightshot is actually even easier to use. I'll put that down in the presentation notes, because you can snip much faster with just one or 2 shortcuts. I'll show you another example. So well, let's say I want to go to another worksheet. Let's go here.
Simon, we can see you. You're with us, so just stay there. We'll be introducing you soon.
Yeah, just kick me out when you have to. So yeah, that's like.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. If you just stay there, mate, we will. We're just going to see this from Atul, and then we'll introduce you.
Okay, lovely. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, so I would say Lightshot, any kind of whiteboard thing. The Desmos one looked really good for groups. Yeah. I think that might actually be the holy grail that we were looking for. I was very impressed by that. And they can also show they're working out with any kind of digitization. So on Twitter, I got you to also digitize it with a smartphone. But yeah, they can actually have a mini whiteboard, and that's why I need a camera as well. Sometimes they can stick it up on the camera, or their written work. I really like them to work on pen and paper, because that's what they'll be doing the exam in. So I get them to work on there, and they stick it up on the camera if I need, or I get them to articulate, snip, paste, and then annotate. So yes. So I would say some kind of whiteboard, Lightshot for snip pasting, and I would say a graphics tablet is an absolute must. You just have to get over that pain period of a few hours of kind of learning how to write with it. But once that's out of the way, like, everything speeds up, and you can use it in the classroom as well. I've seen Douglas Butler do it in his presentations. So yeah.
Fantastic. Jenna, pass on to you.
Yeah, thank you, Atul. That's absolutely amazing. I do think you're probably going to get a lot of tweets asking about both software and hardware. People may be looking to you as the guru, as I called you a few weeks ago. That is your new title, Atul.
I think Jonathan said you are the internet, which is quite, that's quite a big compliment to anybody, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, this has been amazing. This, for me, it says, I mean, I used to turn up to MathsCons and people used to ask, what do you do? I said, well, I do this online teaching thing, and everyone used to go, what? How does it work? And some 2020s happened, and I'm just glad to be sharing my enthusiasm for it and learning from everyone else as well. So as always, been a real pleasure. So thanks again for having me on.
No, thank you, Atul. It's been great listening to you. And I think people have really taken on board what you've said about what 2020 has done to sort of revolutionize teaching in the classroom, and how lots of people have changed their practice, and going forward, they will continue to use these types of things. So thank you very much for sharing how you do it as well.